For those serious about becoming successful, consistently profitable options traders, now is the time to build skills in technical analysis, market analysis, and applied volatility to get those results. We have multiple memberships, starting with our Go membership that teaches rules-based trading and our Pro membership that teaches more subjective trading. For more information, go to lockeinyoursuccess.com/memberships.
With that, we'll see if we can find David here.
I am. Hey, good afternoon, guys.
Good afternoon. How are you, my friend?
Oh, great.
Yeah, so you've been doing a long time, and the type of trading you do is, you want to go over that, what you've been doing and how your success has been?
So I've been trading options since late 2008, so I guess about 16 years. And it just started off very small for like put spreads, call spreads, that sort of thing. And at that time, couldn't find a ton of stuff out there unless you're willing to spend 25 grand for invest tools. So I did not do that, and just did some self-taught stuff along the way, and then found your stuff online around 2013. Went to the M21 course in 2014, and that was the beginning of the long relationship we've had, and I've been a member there on your
you're
website or community
for forever.
It started. Yes, I think it started in 15. So next year will be about 10 years doing that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, with the actual memberships. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And so that's something that I want to bring to your new folks here is someone might be in the background saying, "Oh my gosh, you've been paying a monthly fee for 10 years, and don't you know what you need to know by now?" And the answer is, it's definitely worth it. And no, I don't know everything. I get something from you.
You don't know everything, but you know enough, right?
Yeah, I know enough, right, to be profitable and continue to love this wacky lifestyle we've chosen. Because it can be. Reference A is yesterday in the market.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, you just bounce back from it, and you take your winners and you take your losers. You'll learn from it. As Steven said, you debrief. Let's see, where is it? You journal, you write stuff down, and you learn from it. So happy subscriber and friend and student for a long time to come.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. And, we love to see people do well, and you've certainly done well since I've known you. So great job.
Thanks.
Great job. Biggest wins 2024. Any insights? Anything like that?
Let's see. Biggest wins. I continue to kind of, in my trades, which are like broken wing butterfly style, sometimes with or without a calendar, and just continuing to refine that and find out what works and what doesn't. And really the only way you can do that is by trading. And of course, for the newer students, you want to trade small, maybe start with the paper trading, but eventually you will get good at it and you will want to scale up, and that's certainly fine. Make sure you're debriefing. Find out what you like to trade instead of trading a specific trade. So
that is so awesome. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I mean, I'm an OG or original M3 guy. So I vividly remember trading that exactly by the rules for years. But then sometime in the late teens, both the option view model changed, as well as how the market makers add maybe extrinsic value to the calls. I'm not sure how you see that, but you can't get a 90 delta call for 5 cents extrinsic value anymore. You're going to pay a couple bucks for it, especially 56 days out. And so that's a big drag on your theta. But then someone else might say, well, if you're paying that for the 90 delta call, you're probably receiving that for whatever strike you're selling in the middle of the butterfly. I've not necessarily seen that, maybe a little bit, but
Right.
I do like the
But things
M3U
change,
style
right? So
structure.
that's a
Yes,
concept, right? Things change.
yes,
Yeah.
and you do that wonderfully over the years, John. I've seen you progress. Uh, Sometimes I flow with that with you, and some things I still hold on to.
Oh dear.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. But that being said, I primarily trade an M3.4U type structure in the Russell. I also trade a broken wing butterfly shorter term in the SPX. And
Right.
those are my two go-to trades.
Yeah. And I've noticed you've been throwing on a few very short-term trades as well.
Yes, yes. I do occasionally like to go into exploration, and that feeds my need for the rock. So I did the same thing as Tano back at your previous company. That you had a 3-pack. It was rock, Bearish Butterfly, and M3, and learned a great deal from that. And just within months I was live trading all three of those.
Wow. Yeah. So you certainly put in the work. But I think one thing that would be beneficial for everybody from you, I mean, you've made that progress and you see a lot of traders come into this business. You've even mentored for other companies at one point in the past. And,
Yep.
Advice that you would give people who are just trying to make it, they're going through it and they're in the ditches and they're maybe having a hard time right now.
Yeah, I think I heard Steven say it, process over outcome, and we hear that, but it is really true. And you've got to get kind of in the mode to do this win or lose on your certain trades. Know that you either know that they've been back tested by yourself and the other members of our successful community here that you have, or you take the time, and that's mountain time, that's multiple better if you do it
a lot of
yourself.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And you go through the ONE and you back test it yourself to show and give you confidence that the strategy does work, and know that they're not going to all be winners. And that's part of being a successful trader, is taking the wins or losses. Once I leave the office for the day and go, between the 3:30 and 4 when I'm doing adjustments, and then I leave this room and into the living room and start making dinner and interacting with the kids and Jill. I don't want them to know it's a good day when they can look at me and interact with me and not know if it was a red or green day. And that doesn't mean I suppress my feelings. I acknowledge them and then I let it go. And I think Tony Robbins says something along those lines where don't push your emotions away. Go ahead and he's got like a 90-second or a 3-minute rule, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You fill yourself with the emotions that you're feeling, whether it's highs or lows, and then let it go because it's done. And then know that you are an successful trader. And when you have a loss, maybe the next one has a higher probability of being a winner.
Yeah. I think that's a big part of it. A lot of us back off when we really should be doubling down on our efforts.
Yeah.
And I think that's a challenge for a lot of people. It's just, you really delay your progress that way and you hurt your profits that way.
Yeah. And, another thing I learned this year, as I get older, other things are taking more of my time. I have noticed that I've become a bit more conservative in what I do and maybe less directional. Not that there's anything wrong with that. What I tend to do, my style is, if I'm going into, say, a 45 or 50-day trade, I'll maybe take 2 days or 3 days to get into it over time. And let's say it's a $50,000 plan capital. I might put in 20 the first day, 20 the second day, and 10 the third. And so I like to get in fairly quickly, but not all in at once, because I've been burned on getting in on a long-term trade on a high value day, and then you're just playing catch up. Kind of stagger it in over a couple days. And then what I like to do is watch the trade over the next week. If it's a 56-day trade and in say 7 days, I get a really high value day, I'm going to take a little bit off the table. And it's something I've learned where it says, pay yourself as the market makes it available to you. And I don't mean take the whole trade off and go in again. If I've got 40 contracts and I see a butterfly that I bought for $1.50 is now $4.50 in like a week, well, that's kind of like, well, okay, maybe out of those 40, I can take 10 off and make a little profit. And the way I like to do that, John, is if it's such that I'm at an adjustment point too, and if I take off 10 that are now highly profitable on a high value day, and then it also corrects my delta and my vega, I'm good with that. So that's kind of a little bit deeper level on, say, adjustments.
Right. You're just taking advantage of the natural, like people think they're trading theta, but they're not really trading theta, right? You're really trading like applied volatility shifts and so forth, and extrinsic value shifts, and you're just taking advantage of that, scalping it out. I love it.
Yeah. So it's a balance between pay yourself when the market makes it available to you, but also give yourself an opportunity to win more. And I know you say that also as well. So what I then will do, John, is late in the trade, say I started with 40 and now I'm down to say 20 and I'm at what my profit target should be. I'm happy with the profit. I'll maybe take off 18 of those 20 and just let 2 ride.
Right. Yeah.
And that gives yourself an opportunity to win more. But then I'll also bring the longs in. And so there's, in the worst case yesterday market scenario, you're still above the zero line.
Right. Yeah. Yesterday was a challenging day if you were wrong on directions. So
right.
Sure. Or even if you're a flat delta, it was a challenging day probably. Yeah. So
absolutely.
So I guess with that, any last words?
Well, for me this year, I've been working on over adjusting. I do notice that as my schedule gets better and I'm sitting here in my home office, it's easy to tinker. Let's see. I don't know if I can move this around, but I'll show you my setup here.
Nice.
I've got the 4 screens, and I've got your Discord up here. I've got the chart here, and these are a couple. Like you can see, these are a couple of live trades, one in the Russell and one in the SPX. So broken wing butterfly structures. One of them's longer dated, one of them's shorter dated, and those I just got in today.
Oh, nice day to get in. Yeah, yesterday afternoon or today. Yeah.
Right. So the top one is a Hammett. So thank you to Stephen for sharing your strategies with us. I've got it behind the market, ready for that basketball underwater to just jump right back up.
There you go. Let's see if we can make that happen.
Exactly.
Well, David, thank you for your support over the years and your friendship, and we really appreciate having you here.
Absolutely. Real quick, I had a couple books here that I wanted to show.
Oh, yes.
Anybody who I love books. I never pass up the opportunity to either buy a book off of Amazon for $10 or some on the iPad. So Tony Robbins, I'm a big fan of him. This is an older book, but it's good for investing. We talk all about options, but at the end of the day, we're trying to make and keep money, right? So it boggles my mind that I think it was one of the first couple workshops I was at with you. There one or a couple guys that all they do with their money is trade options. And that might be good for some. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's a bad thing for me. Over time, I have used my money the way I think is wise, in that I take my option trade profits, and at one point would then make my planned capital higher. But then I started shifting that from, okay, I'll go up, I'll take a little bit to make the planned capital higher, but then I'll also take a portion and buy, $5,000 worth of Amazon stock or $5,000 of this index or somewhere where it's buy and hold, because I don't think you're going to attain long-term wealth unless you're buying and investing for the long term. I think that that's just proven.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a webinar at some point. I've been thinking about it for a while now, or maybe a series of lessons to talk about your phase in life or your phase in trading.
Yeah,
and where do your resources go early on and versus later on, and when you're more matured. And it's the same thing with me. I'm much more matured now, so I think of things a lot differently than I would have when I started. When we would have maybe put all our whole net worth in a trade. Right?
Absolutely.
So,
and who's to say someone didn't have their whole net worth in a trade? Like, say your old style S&B, where you were trading like $1 million trades, right? And then if you had a day like yesterday, close to expiration, somebody could get wiped out from that.
You definitely could. Right. Absolutely. But in certain phases, you trade that way. In certain phases, you're development. But and your wealth depending on when you are. But certainly not now.
Yes. And then two books I'll leave you with. One I've talked about before, Flow. Flow state, which is good. And we all get into this flow state if we're, doing our stuff on the computer, and it's the standard, like, oh, wow, where did the last 2 hours go? Well, I've been, getting stuff done. And then Eckhart Tolle, I like his stuff, Power of Now. Make sure you're present in life, because that's really all you have. We're always anxious about the future and concerned about what we did yesterday and who we might have offended or what happened there. Right. Well, that's gone. And then why have anxiety for tomorrow? It hasn't happened. And while you're doing all that, you're missing out on what's happening right in front of you.
Great life advice. We're not just about great traders. We're about having a great life, right? So.
Absolutely. That's what it's all about.
Awesome.
Thank you, David.
Yes.
So much.
Gary.
Happy holidays to you and your family.
Merry Christmas to you guys. Thanks. See you again soon.
Bye-bye.